right, welcome everyone. So good to see some familiar faces and also some new faces joining us today. That song is one of my daughter's favorites right now. She is just loving it. So I thought it'd be fun to kick us off with that. So hi everyone, welcome back to your Let's Talk Office Hours. Like I said, we had some familiar faces and some new faces. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sharon. I'm a senior client success manager here at K-12 Insights, and I'm going to be guiding us through today's session where we'll be talking all things dashboard. Kalila Mack is back with us today, managing the chat and the polls. For those of you that don't know her, Kalila is now on our implementation team and is one of our many talented client implementation specialists. So if you've been thinking at your district of expanding to another department or getting school sites their own landing pages, chatbots, etc., and you're feeling like you could really use some support, reach out to your CSM. They can put you in touch with our implementation team. Kalila and her team will help get your new landing pages built, your topics planned, your users trained, those embed codes to the right people for launch. They'll do it all. Kalila will be monitoring that Q&A. So as questions come up, please pop them in there into the chat. We'll be making sure that we help answer anything that's coming. Oh, hi, Kathy. Okay, I just saw that you can't hear me. Kalila?
Yeah, we can hear you. I was going to message
Okay.
Kathy to see. Kathy, can you just maybe log out of the webinar and back in and see if that works? Can you? I guess she may not be able to hear me either. I'll message her. Sorry about that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hopefully everybody else can hear us okay. All right. I don't see anybody else saying that they can't hear. There we go. Thanks, Kalila. Okay. All right. We are going to go ahead and Kalila, I'll go ahead and launch the poll. We're just wanting to know, out of curiosity, how often are you checking your dashboard? Kalila, I'll launch this one in case you're helping Kathy. Are you checking your dashboard daily, weekly, monthly, here and there? Maybe never, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong answer with this. Looks like most of you, as these are coming through, are doing a daily, more here and there, which is totally normal. We'll give you another, there we go. Let's go ahead and share results. Most of you are here and there, which is totally great. There's no, like I said, no right or wrong. Some of you monthly, some of you daily. Hopefully today we're going to learn some new tips and tricks so that you're feeling confident, so that when you do log in, especially if it's here and there, you're feeling confident to take a look. So we're going to have three main buckets that we're going to go over. Right out of the gate, we're going to talk about why our data is important. We're then going to dive into your dashboard, and we're actually going to go through it from top to bottom. What does everything mean? How can I adjust this? I'll show you how you can filter it and customize options so you can make the dashboard your own. For those of you that use the chatbot, we'll briefly go over your Let's Talk Assistant dashboard. It's pretty slick. There'll be some things that are going to be coming into your regular dashboard, which will be fun for you to see. Throughout today, I'll also be showing you how to save and export your dashboard. And then to wrap up, we'll share some best practices from our friends at Palo Alto and something that they learned by using their data. So as we all know, and as we've said before, sometimes the most negative voices tend to be the loudest. But using our data, we can better understand the needs of our customers, our students, our families, our staff, and our community members. 96% of consumers say that customer service is an important factor in their choice of loyalty to a brand. I know, okay, Kathy, all right. I know I'm one of those people, and I'm no exception. If I have a great customer service, chances are I'm going to return to that establishment. If I have a bad one, I might give them another chance, but I might also be done. If you're a district who's experiencing that declining enrollment, you're not alone. Austin ISD was losing hundreds of students every year, so they commissioned a very large research study to find out why families were leaving. Issues with teaching and learning didn't even make those top 5 reasons, which they and myself were very shocked about. You would think that they would be leaving because of those. The top 5 reasons that people were leaving the district all touched on lack of trust and a negative experience with staff. So in other words, customer service. An easy win with customer service is just responding to your customers in the amount of time that you've promised. This is known as your service level agreement, or SLA. That's the amount of time that you're promising in your success messages that you're going to be getting back to your customers. If you're not hitting that goal, use the data to make a decision on if you need to change either what it is that you're promising your customers, or as we'll learn today, you can see if it's a few individuals who are dragging that number down, maybe a topic that doesn't have enough information. Use that data to really learn what's going on. If we take a look and data isn't the reason that you feel like you're needing to brush up on those customer service skills, isn't the reason you need to actually brush up on those customer service skills, reach out to your CSM. We do have a professional development class specifically for customer service in school districts, so we can help if you feel as though that's an area that we need to explore. So let's go ahead. Let's dive right into our dashboard. For me today, I'm going to check the chat. Okay. Oh, Kathy, great. Glad you're with us now, Kathy. All right. For us today, I'm going to be in my model community school district. This is our fake school district that we have. Some of you have seen me demo in here before with chatbot and stuff. Let's go ahead. And we all know where our dashboard is. If you don't, it's those little bar graph under your Let's Talk logo in your top left-hand side. When you first log in, your dashboard will reflect what you most recently were looking at. So you might have seen me clear out some filters, which we'll reapply here in a second. For us, you're going to see a high-level overview of how many total dialogues you've received, if you have any that are open, any critical, or past due. I can then also go ahead and filter my data with how I want to look at it. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to change this to all time for now. We're going to come back and change this to last school year, but this will help us as we get to our word cloud. Over on my right-hand side, this is where I have my options to share, so I can actually email my dashboard right out of here. I can download, and my formats in this main dashboard are PowerPoint and PDF. I will show you that you get Excel in your comparison reports, or I can even save this dashboard, which we'll do in a second as we start to filter out our data. So let's go ahead and start scrolling down. First section you're going to see is your high-level overview. This is how your district is performing with things like your CX score, that dialogue age, your positive and negative experiences. All of these are clickable. So if I want to see my dialogue age, I can go ahead and click there, see how my age distribution is, and see those recent dialogues that have come through. If I need to look at maybe my negative experiences, this is a good place where I can do that. My word cloud's going to come to life, which we'll learn about in a second, and I can view all my negative dialogues here. The other nice thing is that we do have this benchmark option. The benchmark is how you're comparing to all other Let's Talk districts. When it comes to your CX score, it's currently on a 10-point Likert scale. That means that 1 to 5 is negative, 6 to 7 is neutral, and 8 to 10 is positive. We have our median for all districts is around 8.4, with our highest at 9.8. You can see that us here at MCSD are hovering a little above our median. However, with our dialogue age, you can see that we're hovering a little below our median. So I might then look at this and say, you know what? I think we need to either adjust what we're promising our customers on when we're going to get back to them, or help train my team members to better respond in a quick manner. I'm going to go ahead and keep scrolling down, which is going to bring us then to our word cloud. Let me zoom in just a little bit for this one, because we're going to see some of these colors come to life. Okay. So our word cloud here, our community voice, is all based off of intensity and sentiment. Let's go ahead and start with intensity. That's what your default is going to be. What you can do is hover over any word to see their frequency count in dialogues, and then how big of a divisive topic this word might be with the intensity scale. So for example, I have bus. This is very large on my chart here. If I hover over, well, maybe it doesn't like me being zoomed in. Here we go. I can see how many times it occurred, but I can see that it has a pretty low intensity. That's why it's showing up in that color gray for me. However, down here I have bully. It's showing up yellow, a little bit smaller. It showed up in a few less occurrences. However, it had a higher intensity in there for me, meaning this word is bringing more emotional data So I know that my district leaders might need to look at this and say like, hey, this is starting to be an issue. This is something that the community is feeling passionate about. If I want to dive deeper into any of these dialogues with these concerns, I can click on this word to see what those dialogues are that are coming through, and then go ahead and look through those and see what those common threads are. Next up, we have our sentiment. So again, just like with our intensity, if you hover over, you'll get to see these come to life. So as seen in our earlier example, let's go down to bully, because you can see that that's a little bit more red than some of these other ones. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hover over. I have that high intensity with that pretty negative sentiment. So then I can look at this and know that my community is dealing with an issue with this. They're feeling very passionate about it with their high intensity. They're feeling pretty negative about it with their negative sentiment. So this is something that we should address if we haven't already, or have a plan in place to take a deeper look at and see what's going on. Yep, Diane, you're going to see, great question. Is there a way to create a word cloud by topic? Yep, as we filter, you're going to be able to see this come to life. We'll get there in a second. While we're in sentiment, let's go ahead, and I actually want to pull out this word. Let's go ahead and look at event. I don't know if you can see this on your screen. It's based off of kind of how your colors are, but in mine, it's ever so slightly blue. So this blue tells me that this is actually trending a little bit more towards the positive sentiment. So I can see it has pretty low intensity, pretty high positive. So something is going well with this word, with what's going on. This might be a great one, again, for me to click into, see more context of what's going on to help identify these. Now, earlier today, I got a little sneak peek of what's to come with our dashboard. Soon we'll be adding in AI themes so we can actually get a high-level recap of the context of what's going on with this. We don't have to do it ourselves. We'll get to see a little bit of that as we head into our Let's Talk Assistant, but it's going to be really cool. So last, I want to point out that you have this option for a table up here. This is where you can get a snapshot of everything at once. So you saw when I hovered over, we had both the intensity and the sentiment in one. Here you can go ahead and you can sort by word, occurrence, dialogue, intensity, and also your sentiment over there. I think I can go ahead and zoom back out now to get it so you can see it how it would look on your screen. Any of these blue words at the top, you can sort from top to bottom, alphabetically with the words, look at your intensity, sentiment, etc. We have already gone in and filtered out words like names, school campuses, district names, words like the, if, than, but, etc. If you would like to filter out any other words, you can click the little gear icons down here, add some words into filter. The word cloud will also operate standardly on a 60 word. If you would like to expand this and look at 30 or 90, you can do that as well. Down here, you have the option to just save right here with this download option, or you can actually share right here and just go ahead and email this out directly to somebody. Say your superintendent says, I want to look at this, doesn't want to log in. You can email it to them directly right there. Kim, good question. With like, how do we actually define these? So intensity would be like, I would say like, how quote unquote passionate is somebody saying this? What are the other words associated with this that are coming through? Is somebody saying like, how do I find the bus schedule, with a pretty normal intensity in this, normal sentiment? Or are they saying, I am so angry the bus didn't pick me up today. I am so mad that it didn't get here in time. That's going to have that higher intensity as it's analyzing the other words associated with it that are coming in. Same with the sentiment of positive or negative, like, I just love my bus driver. They're always saying good morning to me. We can pick up on those words associated around it to know how is somebody feeling, or are they saying my bus driver is just always the grumpiest person I've ever met. I wish they weren't driving. And then we can know they have more of that negative sentiment. So I know those aren't like scientific definitions, but we're kind of reading the context of what's being associated with it to then determine those pieces inside of it. If you're seeing yellow or red on here, it might be great to just familiarize yourselves. Go ahead and click into those and see what is the context that's coming out of this, so you can kind of know yourself what it's looking at. Now, we recently updated this word cloud in 2023. So if any of you were previous Let's Talk users and you're like, this looks a little bit different, I haven't logged in a while, maybe you didn't know it changed, or maybe you didn't even really know how to read it. Hopefully this helped. This is a newer addition for us. So let's keep scrolling down and go ahead and look at our dialogue metrics. These are one of my favorite sections of this. It's really helpful for me to know who's reaching out to me, what are they reaching out to me about, how are they accessing me, and then who am I hearing from about how many times. So for customer type, generally we're going to see this parent guardian be the highest here. For those districts who utilize Let's Talk for internal usage, like HR questions, we might see a higher employee number here. Just kind of depends with everybody. For dialogue type, you're generally going to see question be the highest here. If you do see concern that's pretty high, go ahead and you can click into these and it will take you to those dialogues. You can see if you have a common theme. You might already know what it is if you're seeing that, but that's something to dive into if you're seeing a high number there. Compliment, if you're seeing like 0 or 1%, Kudo campaign might be a great way to boost that and to help grow that if you're liking, if you're wanting to. Now with both of these, you'll see on mine, some of you may have unknown on here. Some of you may not. Unknown is reflected from dialogues that come in through avenues where we may not necessarily know who the customer type is or the dialogue type. So an example of this could be if they came in through a phone call or a text. Maybe you did a bulk edit to mass close a handful of dialogues. If you set to auto close any dialogues that came in that didn't indicate the customer type, they're going to get dumped into that unknown bucket. Our entry point, pretty straightforward. If you have multiple landing pages or tabs, you can always drive down a little bit by clicking that little caret and see where it is that people are coming in through. And then our customer frequency, yours is most likely going to sit around that 1 to 3 dialogues, with those being your number one highest on here. If you're seeing 5+ like you're looking in here, you have a handful of passionate customers that are coming to you. You probably know who they are. If this is extremely high, you can reach out to your CSM and we can help you dive a little bit deeper. This might also be a great opportunity for you to reach out to that person as apparently they want to be heard. It could be an option to say, hey, why don't you come in? Let's have lunch together. Why don't we sit down and talk about whatever's on your mind? If you are seeing this in that like 12%, let us know and we can help you take a look at this. I'm going to actually switch my dialogue activity. Let's go ahead and switch my time. So this looks a little bit more cleared up. So you're not looking at the last, there we go. All right. Dialogue activity, I also love looking at this. For those of you, if you're looking at this with us, generally we see ebbs and flows with your district. We generally see a peak in that August, September time, and again in January with those back to school kind of sessions. If you see something outside of that, dig into your data and see why, or you probably already know anecdotally. Maybe you were going for a bond, maybe there was some sort of policy change. A lot of districts will hold gratitude or kudo campaigns around Valentine's Day or teacher appreciation, and they'll see those spikes in like February, May time. If not, generally you see that pretty average ebb, flow, come back up. As we scroll down, we also have our top topics and our top tags. Now, top topics is a place that I always encourage my districts to look at. If I was seeing a topic that said like general or other, this is one where I would want to go ahead and click into it and see what it is that people are asking. Is it truly general questions that are being bucketed in here? Or am I seeing a lot of the same questions being asked and I can create a new topic? One that I see a lot of districts that eventually becomes its own topic is something for either a transcript request or records request. Generally, those get dumped into an other or a general, and they'll actually go ahead and break out a specific topic and use our custom forms to build one to help them gather the information that we need. Now, an update from last year, you can now sort your top topics. So look at either top 5, top 10, or all, which is really helpful. And then we have our top tags over here. I don't see districts utilize tags enough. This is a great way to be labeling your dialogues to categorize messages and identify trends. Tagging can also help you use advanced search for dialogues containing certain tags. You can build workflows based on tags. You can pull reports, which we'll see in a second. Something to note is a minimum of 10% of all dialogues must be tagged for any category to show. So if for some reason you just added tags yesterday and this isn't showing up, that's why we need for a few more dialogues to be added. If you'd like to get into auto tagging, reach out to your CSM. We can help get this going for you. Last thing I want to point out is there's this tiny little line at the bottom. If you're looking at your dashboard and you're like, gosh, I feel like this is a little off, I closed some dialogues today, what's going on? Your dashboard is automatically updated every morning, and it does not refresh every time you log in unless you manually do it. So if you want the most up-to-date information, scroll down to the bottom, go ahead and click that refresh report, and it will then update it so you have the most up-to-date information. So something to just hot little tip know. If you're like, gosh, I feel like this is a little off, that's probably why. So I'm gonna have Kalila launch another poll for us. Did you learn something new about the dashboard today? Just straight from top to bottom. Yes, no, maybe you knew all this. Hopefully there was something new that you learned. If not, that's okay. It's just all helpful information for us at the end of the day. So looks like, yes, we did. That's great. Okay. Now let's get into our question of, well, how can I make the word cloud work for me? Or can I pull this for specific topics? So yes, now that we have the lay of the land, if you need to drill down any data, whether it's for word clouds or topics as a whole, we have a few ways we can do this. First is through our filter option, and second is through our comparison reports. And they're going to look a little different based off of each. So let's first start with looking at our filter option while we're here on this page. So under where it says dashboard, you have your overview, and then you have your little filter cone icon. I always think of getting an oil change when I see this. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And on my left-hand side, it's going to pull out all sorts of information and ways that I can be digesting and looking at my data. Currently, I'm looking at everything from last school year. But what I want to do, let's say that I only want to see my parents and guardians who reached out to. So here's where I can search by specific topic. And go ahead and expand that caret. And then right here, I'm going to have the option to clear these. So now I have no topics associated with this. But let's say that I just want to look at Bridges Elementary, Weinberger Elementary, and Mack High School. These are all near each other, so I want to know, how's my community feeling when they're near here? Let's say I do want to look at all the ones that Adrian owned, so I can even choose who my dialogue owner was. If I'm feeling like I want to sort by CX score, I can, or my dialogue age, I can go ahead and adjust those. Maybe I want to see just the concerns that are coming in from these schools. With that entry point, I can choose how are they getting in touch with me. Did it originate from a phone call, in person, etc. Languages is really helpful if maybe you are feeling as though your Arabic community isn't receiving the same level of service as a different one. You can actually filter down by language here as well. Your dialogue status. So maybe I need to look at the ones that are still in progress. Maybe we're being a little slow. My dialogue priority. Here's where that tagging comes in. So if I have any tags that I've gone ahead and associated, I can add those here. So I can search just by those. I can look at my landing page, my action taken, and then my very last piece. So let's go ahead. As I'm looking at this, I'm like, gosh, okay, last school year, I actually have no dialogues that were concerned with Adrian from these locations. If I feel as though I need to remove those, I can just click the X. So I've taken away my concern. I did receive 6 that Adrian was in charge of. She had a pretty good response time with the dialogue age, but I'm actually going to remove her from here. And let's just look at these 3 different school sites with the parent guardian. So almost 100, 177 dialogues were received. We had a great response time. No negative experiences, which is great. No positive, so maybe we weren't sending out the CX score. But as I scroll down, my community voice did go ahead and update based specifically on those filters that I applied. So looks like there's a pretty high intensity for pretty and pretty positive sentiment. So maybe somebody is feeling very pretty at one of those locations. We have a good graduate coming up, pretty positive sentiment with a pretty positive intensity. And now everything down here is going to be reflected specific to those filters that I applied. Now, let's say that my superintendent or somebody wants me to share this with them. Again, I can come up to the top and I can share directly from here. I can choose to download this dashboard, so I have it in PDF or PowerPoint form. But what I'm actually going to do is save it today. So go ahead and when you're saving, give it a distinguishable report name, because you're going to see in a second, it's not super easy to see the full name. So let's go ahead and call it Gallatin area schools. So I know where these schools are located. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then now if I close down my little filter option under my saved reports, you can see where I asked with those naming conventions. You don't see all of it unless you hover over. So give it something that's easy for you to find when it shows up. Now, something to note is when you save these are only visible to you. I do know that we've had districts ask, like, gosh, it would be really helpful if system admins could share their reports with one another so they don't have to recreate them. I know our product team is talking about this, and hopefully we'll be able to do this soon. So just note, if you save this, this is only available to you. All right, doesn't look like any questions have come through. So let's hop into our comparison reports. So as I keep scrolling down, looking on my left-hand side, next I have this section called comparison. This is really, really helpful. And I will say a place that not a lot of districts remember to look at or to utilize. So there's 3 types of comparison reports that we're going to look at today: users, categories, and topics. Users helps give you a snapshot of how your users are interacting with the platform. So I'm going to keep this as last school year. And as I scroll down, here I can see my dialogue age and my CX score. So I can see my dialogue age of 0 days. I'm pretty much getting a 10 CX score. So things are performing well there. As I continue to scroll down, because I'm looking at my users, here I can see all my users from last school year, I think is how we sorted it, and how they've responded. Now let's keep scrolling because I'm looking for some yellow. Here we go. If you're looking at yours and you have some yellow and blue, yellow means that there are open and unresolved dialogues that need to be looked at and addressed. So Anaf here has an open dialogue that needs to be looked at, and he needs to address this. If you're seeing ones that have a red exclamation point there, that means that there are dialogues that are critical and need to be resolved. I don't see any examples on here, which is good because critical should be looked at ASAP. But just note, if you are seeing any red exclamations, that's what it's for. Now with these, you can always click. So then I can see what it is that Anaf was looking at. And then I can always expand. There we go. Oh, just did that to see what else is going on. So Andre looks like it's giving me these little tidbits down below too. Andre's average dialogue age is 2.8 days, which is above the past due age of 2. So then I can know maybe Andre needs some help and assistance with closing these. Does he just not feel comfortable with maybe transportation questions, or what's going on here? Now, something that most people miss in here, because it's kind of hidden, is if you go up to your name and ever so slightly with your Mickey Mouse hand, keep going to the right, this little arrow is going to show. And this lets you then sort how you're looking at this, either alphabetically or by your dialogue amount, highest or lowest. So I can go ahead and sort highest to lowest, and I can see that Kalila last year had 247 dialogues. She was responding in a very speedy fashion, but must not have been sending out her feedback score. So then I can go to her and say, hey, is there a reason you weren't sending this out? Maybe her topics didn't need it. With Lynn, I can see, oh, she's responding quickly and she has a great feedback score. And again, it's going to tell me down here with this little tidbit that she received 10 positive CX dialogues. So I can go to Lynn and give her some kudos and tell her great job with providing that excellent customer service. So again, that little arrow is going to click out if you just slowly go over to your right with your Mickey Mouse hand, and it'll show up there, which if you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there. So I wanted to point that out. Now, something else with your user comparison, just like before, you can save this and it'll show up under your saved reports. You can download. Now, with the download, you can do Excel with your comparison report. So users, categories, and topics will give you the option to export in Excel. Again, you can share. And then another cool little feature is that you can actually notify your users from in here. So if you have somebody who has critical dialogues that need to be addressed, there's a gentle nudge that we've already written that you can send from in here. You can choose how you would like to access anybody. So with Lynn, like we know that she had a fast closing time, maybe her, Kalila, any of my other fast users, we want to send them a little note. I can choose a few other and go ahead and say, hey, great with cheers to your great work and let's talk. Here's some little cute little emojis, little speedy bunnies. It'll auto insert their average dialogue age and just send them a little boost of appreciation. So it's a fun little feature to be able to reach a lot of people and either give kudos or nudges if needed. Let's go ahead and quickly look at our categories and topics. These are all going to look the same. Categories will tell you how your category as a whole is performing. With this, I do want to look at all time because then I can show you down here if you have something that's going to fall into your risk area. If I hover over, we can see that my department feedback and questions and an average response time of 6 days with an average CX score of 3. So this is a great way for me to look at and say, do I need to maybe break out this category into more topics? Are they struggling there? Do they just not have the training? Are they just not feeling comfortable with it? Can dive in a little bit deeper. Again, I can go ahead and use my little Mickey Mouse hand to sort. This is great because I can look at my categories that aren't maybe getting a lot of dialogues and say, do I even still need that category then? Maybe I need to wrap this into something else. This even came from a phone call. Like, do I really need this category as a whole for open enrollment? Maybe that can become its own topic under something else and can help me distinguish that. Or from the other side, I can look at and say, my trending topics. What am I missing here? What else needs to come in? It's going to give me that information for me to look at. Last, let's go ahead and check out our topics. Again, I want this to be all-time great because then you can see all of these little dots that are showing up. This is nice because then I can still, again, hover over, see what's going on, see how things are performing, see where maybe I need to expand. And again, I can be notifying my users and nudging my topics. This, again, is great. Let's say if we did last school year. And then once again, if I want to be looking at my topics, let's go ahead and sort my lowest dialogue amount. If I still have that 2017, 2018 salary letter out there and one dialogue came in, probably need to go ahead and sunset that. It's out of date. We didn't get any information. What you can also do is, here we go, show all topics. And so then I can look at this and be like, gosh, these all received 0. If these are live, go ahead and sunset those or roll them into something else just to help clean up your landing page. Once again, you do have your filter options on these if you would like, so you can really be drilling down this data and making it as specific to you as you'd like. These are your friends. If you'd like some help accessing these, reach out to your CSM. We can help you dive a little bit deeper, pull any reports, help you save them and set them up, etc. Now, let's go ahead As we near the end, take a look at our Let's Talk Assistant. For those of you who use our chatbot, we recently gave our Let's Talk Assistant dashboard a little glow up. From left to right, we have our usage. This is great because you can see questions asked, sessions started, and then one dialogue was submitted. I can always click on this to see what my dialogue was that was sent in to me. And then the nice thing is if I click on, oh, went too far with those. If I click on my session started, I can actually drill down into these and see my optimization table to see what it was that people were asking. As I continue going over, I have my answer ratings. If you're going to dive into the negative or the rated unhelpful ones. A lot of times the answer wasn't wrong. The customer just didn't like the answer. So if I click on this, I can see when does school start? School starts on August 26, 2024. This was the correct answer that was given. The customer just for some reason said, I don't like this answer, so I'm giving it a thumbs down. Maybe it was a student who just isn't ready for school to start. So it's a good piece for you to just look at and do that gut check of, are we actually providing the wrong answer, or are they just not liking the answer? Something that was recently added is these top theme summaries. This is kind of what's going to be added to your main dashboard. This is really cool because it's using AI to read through all the chats that came through to digest what the information is of what your community is talking about. So number one, I can see they have questions about transportation. My positive opinions highlight the availability of detailed information, but my negative opinions focus on the lack of immediate answers to specific questions. Overall, they reflect the need for better communication and more accessible information regarding transportation and school services. So you can even filter through these to see what it is that people are reaching out about. It's going to match those top themes on your right-hand side and give you a high-level overview. This is going to be really fantastic when it's added into our main dashboard. Down below, we'll see our LTA engagement. So when are people using the chatbots? Generally, you'll see this ebb and flow with the week as well. More kind of Monday through Friday usage with lower on Saturdays and Sundays. All right, as we kind of wrap up for today, I wanted to share a story from Palo Alto. They use Let's Talk to make data-informed decisions in their district. They're more of a quote unquote smaller district of about 10,000 students. And with all communities, this is no exception, expectations are very high at this district. Their office is literally right across the street from Stanford. Before Let's Talk, district leaders felt like people were pleased with the level of service that they were receiving, but they had no data to back this up. With that, as we talked about earlier, the most negative voices were also the loudest, rising to the top and causing the district to then almost second guess themselves and to say like, oh, is our community happy? Because we keep hearing from these few, maybe they're not. The other thing about this to note is that prior to using Let's Talk, Palo Alto had over 300 shared email inboxes. So it was this black hole of information. It was difficult to be staying on top of things, track conversations, who was owning what, where had this been. But when they started using Let's Talk, they were able to see that there was actually a 35-to-1 positive to negative customer service rating. And this confirmed what they thought, that most people were happy in the district. Not there was those few folks who were unhappy, but they were able to address those and chat with them to get to the bottom of what was really going on. So by using their Let's Talk data, the board and the district administration were able to get ahead of those hot button issues that are on the top of minds of their stakeholders and provide better communication and transparency to their community. So this is something you're interested in learning more about with using this dashboard. Like I've said numerous times, your CSM can help you dive deeper and do any of this analysis with you. Kim, good question. Can you download the Let's Talk Assistant information? It doesn't look like just yet, but I'm guessing that this will be added to our dashboard in the near future. I know that this was a little baby step that we took, and then we're going to take some more baby steps and some more baby steps. So if you've seen this from the last like 2 months, it's made a huge leaps and bounds. So downloading should be coming in the near future. Great question. Okay. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I know we went into a lot of our dashboard. Hopefully it was helpful. Kalila's going to launch our last poll for us today as we're wrapping up. And for next month, we'll be getting spooky for Halloween. We'll be talking all things tricks and treats of Let's Talk. We'll uncover the tricks for conjuring up custom forms, chatbot profiles. Let's see, here we go. Let's go ahead. Okay, perfect. Our last poll has launched. How confident are you in navigating this? Back to last month, we'll be going through chatbot profiles, text and phone lines, along with the treats of how can we pair these together to be working with one another. Go ahead and scan the QR code to sign up. We'll also be sending out an email reminder as we get closer. Thank you all so much for coming today. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to us, reach out to your CSM. We're more than happy to help, and we look forward to seeing you next month.